Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning and welcome to today's session of Imagine America Radio, our continuing Career College Exposition webinar series. My name is Lee Doubleday, and I'm with the Imagine America Foundation. I'm excited about today's topic, the benefits of career and technical schools, sponsored by Triangle Tech. Triangle Tech is Pennsylvania's leading provider of high-quality career-focused education at 6 locations all across the Pennsylvania state. Triangle Tech is also a 20-year sponsor of the Imagine America Scholarship and Award programs, having provided admissions-based financial aid to more than 3,500 enrolling Imagine America students. Without taking valuable time from our presenter, let me refer any and all inquiries about the Imagine America Foundation to our website, which is www.imagine-america.org. Since our beginning in 1999, Imagine America remains a leading provider of scholarship aid to enrolling high school students. However, our country faces a serious shortage in certified skilled technicians. We hear from employers in virtually all sections of the country desperately looking for qualified employees, so we need to do more. Our partner in today's presentation is Triangle Tech. Joining us today to discuss in detail the looming technician shortage and how Triangle Tech is helping meet this need is Ashley Kessler. Ashley Kessler is a nationally recognized expert in this area with an extensive K-12 background, having been working with high schools for almost 10 years now. Before turning the program over to Ashley, let me outline today's agenda. Today's session of Imagine America Radio will be 30 minutes maximum, with questions and answers at the end of the presentation. Once we finish these remarks, we'll move directly into today's presentation. And I just want to mention that all participants can submit questions while the presentation is in session via the chat feature in this Zoom meeting. Across your taskbar, there should be a little button that says Q&A. You can type in questions at any time during the presentation, and we will answer them for you at the end. So at the end of the presentation, or approximately 10:25 a.m., I will then present any of the questions offered by the participants, and we will address as many questions as possible and provide written responses in follow-up emails to any questions that we do not get to. We will have a hard close at 10:30 a.m. and a recording of this presentation will be sent to you via email after this presentation is over. So, without taking any more time out of today's presentation, let me turn today's session over to Ashley Kessler. Ashley, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Lee, thank you so much for having me this morning. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, everybody who's joining me, especially any school counselors that are currently on. I'm aware it's June 4th, and at the year's end finishing up, you have a lot on your plate, probably ready to start summer, so I'm definitely appreciative of the time that you're willing to spend with me. And what I'll be doing, just kind of going back to what Lee said, the first half of this presentation, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the benefits of a post-secondary career and technical school, and then towards the end, I'll talk a little more specifically about Triangle Tech's programs and services. As Lee said, I've been with Triangle Tech almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years in December. I started as one of our high school representatives, so I used to go into high schools every day, speak to students, speak to teachers, speak to counselors. And it's been really encouraging to see how the conversation over the last couple of years has really started to shift. I think a lot of people are aware of what the opportunities in the skilled trades are. So we'll go ahead and get started here. So a post-secondary career school, I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with what the definition is, but they are occupationally oriented education institutions. They are schools who are offering entry-level skills and training focused on specific careers. In Pennsylvania alone, there's more than 200 that students are able to choose from. It really just depends on what they want their specialty to be. So I'm sure you guys have probably heard of various cosmetology schools or culinary schools or school for the trades. So it's really nice that there are just so many options available to students nowadays. There's so many benefits to attending a career or a technical school. The first is you're getting training in fields with critical shortages. There's going to be a lot of hands-on learning involved. Typically with most career technical trade schools, students can graduate, they can enter the job market in 2 years or less, which really gives somebody a good return on investment. And going back here to that first bullet point, we're talking about training in fields with critical shortages. not only are there critical shortages in the trades right now, but these are also essential careers. We got some information from some of our career advisors the other week. Over this pandemic, between all 6 of our locations that we have, there's been over 350 job openings in the trade. So not only is there a job shortage, but they're also considered essential careers. Micro, hopefully everybody is familiar with, if not, very big advocate of the trades. Right now, there's 7 million jobs that are open, and the vast majority don't require a 4-year degree. So there's all these opportunities that people aren't talking about. And the result, the skills gap has gotten wider. The skills gap, of course, I'm sure that's a phrase you've heard of, especially in the trades. It's an aging demographic. A lot of people who are in the trades right now, if they haven't already retired, they're going to be retiring over these next couple of years. There hasn't been a younger generation getting the proper training to replace those that have been leaving the workforce. Right now, there are 70% of construction companies nationwide that are having trouble finding qualified workers. According to the Georgetown Center, there are 30 million jobs right now in the United States that are paying an average of $55,000 a year, and they don't require a bachelor's degree. I think over the past, and it's been encouraging to hear this change, but I know when I was in high school, you didn't really hear about any other options other than a 4-year degree. And I think now a lot of people are looking at post-secondary as a little more all-encompassing. That it could be a 4-year degree. It can be a community college. It can be a trade technical school. That can include the military. It can be going into the workforce. So I think that that conversation is really opening people up to say there are really good opportunities. A 4-year degree isn't the best path for everybody. So it's about finding the path, the school that's going to be a fit for what the student wants to do. And the U.S. Department of Education, there are 68% more jobs openings in infrastructure over the next 5 years than there are people to fill them. I just said that there's 70% of construction companies right now saying that they don't have enough people, they're looking for qualified workers. And now there's still going to be 68% more jobs in these fields. So it's a really excellent opportunity and time to start looking at all these options. In order to choose the right school, because there are a lot of options, I already said there's over 200 career technical schools in Pennsylvania. The best thing a student can do is go visit the school in person, meet with an admissions representative, actually talk to somebody. Don't just fill out an application online. Don't just look at a website. Of course, that's a really good way to get some information. But you do want to go see the school in person. You want to meet with an admissions representative. They can tour you around the school. Hopefully you can actually experience labs, sit in on some classes. The nice thing with a lot of trade and technical schools, sometimes people feel, well, I don't have any prior experience in that. I never took any classes, so I can't get started. A lot of these schools will start from the very beginning. So it's great if you're able to sit in on a class, make sure it's a program that you're going to like, make sure it's a program that you're going to see yourself being able to complete and enjoy, and you can do all that during the admissions process. You can also ask your admissions representative, hey, how many students finish this program? How many of them are getting placed in jobs? Talk about your financial aid options. I'm actually going to go into some of our financial aid options towards the end of our presentation. I know that's always a really big discussion, a question a lot of people have. Now, after somebody tours a school, if they like what they see, everything looks good with their financial aid, they can register. So in order to do that, they can choose their class start. Every school is a little different with what the options are. So typically a lot of schools, they do offer 2 class starts. So they can start in the fall, they can start in the spring. Triangle Tech, we do actually offer 3 class starts for our students. So we do have a class start coming up in June. We have another one in October, and we have one in February as well. So it just gives a couple extra options dependent on when a student is ready to make a decision. And always check on what admissions requirements are. Again, every single school is going to be different with what is required. You will need to at least have a high school diploma or a GED. SAT scores, ACT scores, any type of additional standardized testing, that's going to be, again, dependent on every career technical school. I certainly can't speak for every single one. I can let you know, though, that at Triangle Tech, we do not require ACT or ACT scores for our admissions. Now, what a student can expect at a trade and technical school, smaller class sizes. Triangle Tech, we like to keep our classes to 25 students or less. So you're not going to see those large lecture halls with 300, 400, 500 other students. It's, good student-teacher ratio. Nobody's getting lost in the shuffle. Everybody kind of knows everybody. The majority of the classes are going to be in their chosen fields with a lot of hands-on training and theory. So a lot of times when I talk to interested students, especially students who want to work with their hands, and I start talking about at least our curriculum here, with our students aren't taking those intro to British literature classes. They're not taking history. There's no foreign language requirements. They're pretty much jumping in day one into their program, which usually their eyes light up when I start telling them that. They get really excited. The last thing about attendance, this is going to be extremely important, especially at these career technical schools. I just said smaller class sizes. So if a student doesn't show up, it's documented. And you guys, we all work, so if your day's supposed to start at 8:10 and you're showing up, or at 8 o'clock, and you're showing up at 8:10, 8:15, you're coming in late. It's gonna be the same with the students. So a lot of these schools, they try to conduct their classrooms, their labs, like what a student would see in the workforce. And the attendance is so important because if a student is missing class, then of course they're missing out all those hands-on training and theory. But from an employer standpoint, when they start working with these schools, when they're looking for potential employees, they want the people that are gonna show up. I've talked to our school directors, at all of our campuses, and our career advisors. Usually when companies are looking to hire, they're not asking, hey, who has the best grades? Who's the most naturally skilled? They want, hey, who has the best attendance? I only want to see resumes of people who have 97% attendance, 98% attendance. They want those people who are going to show up. So a lot of schools really will emphasize how important attendance will be. What a student will be awarded, it largely depends on where they're attending. Some, they might get a diploma. Some, they might be receiving a certificate. They could get an associate's degree, or it could be what's called an associate's in specialized technology degree, which is what we offer at Triangle Tech. So a little more specifically about Triangle Tech, our school, our programs. I don't know of the people who are joining us, if anybody has worked with us in the past, but Triangle Tech, we've been around since 1944. So a lot of longevity behind our school. We started in Pittsburgh, and we still have our location in Pittsburgh, but over the years, we've also expanded, so now we have 5 other locations. So we are also in Greensburg, we're in DuBois, we're in Sunbury, we're in Bethlehem. And then as of October 2019, we actually opened up our newest location in Chambersburg. So the fact that we're still growing, the fact that we're still expanding should give a lot of assurance that we're really in this for the long haul, and we're here to look out for the students' interest. We really want to see that successful graduate. We are an accredited school. We're accredited by the Accrediting Commission of Career Schools and Colleges. Over the years, we've been named a School of Excellence, a School of Distinction, and then a few years ago, Forbes magazine published their first ever list of the top 30 trade schools in the country, which Triangle Tech was actually listed on that list. So we're really excited, we're really honored to have these awards, these recognitions, these distinctions behind our names. Now, Triangle Tech does offer 5 different programs. We have a CAD with additive manufacturing and 3D printing, maintenance, electricity and construction, carpentry and construction, refrigeration, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, and welding and fabrication. Now, I will let you guys know, not every program is available at every single campus. Pittsburgh does offer all 5. Once you get outside of Pittsburgh, it becomes a little more hit and miss with what's available. If you're curious what's available at your most local campus, feel free to put in the question and answer, what county you're in, what area, what school would be closest, and I can certainly let you know what programs would be available at that particular campus as well. Now, again, some of these programs you might not know what exactly it involves, what we teach. I'm not going to get into too much detail with each and everything that we do, but just a little highlight of each program. So our carpentry program, the nice thing with all of these programs, you're probably going to hear me repeat this phrase a lot, they get a great overview of everything in the field. They're not just learning one skill. They're learning a multitude of skills that can really help diversify what opportunities will be available to them in their careers. So our carpentry program, the focus is residential with some light commercial. The difference, of course, is wood versus metal, but they build a house from the ground up. They do the concrete forms and placement. They do the interior trims. They do roof design. They do window installation. They do stair design. They get some light masonry work. They do related trades, so some light electrical work, plumbing, bathroom remodeling, kitchen remodeling. There's a cabinet shop when you get more into your furniture making. So really, really fun field to be getting into. Our welding program, fantastic. I know welding's always really high in demand. We focus on 4 main processes. We do MIG welding, TIG welding, stick, and flux core. We do that on pipe and plate. A great feature of our welding program is on top of the associate's degree that a student earns, they will also be testing for 3 certifications. So we offer the American Welding Society for structural steel, and then we offer 2 pipe certifications as well. So we offer the API, the American Petroleum Institute certification. That's a certification, hopefully I'm not throwing too much technical terms at you guys, but that's your lower pressure. So for people interested in working on the gas lines, that's the certification for that. And then we offer the American Society of Mechanical Engineer certification. That's your higher pressures, that's your Boilermakers, that's your power plants, that's your nuclear subs. So the fact that you can come through our program, you can have your associate's degree and 3 certifications makes you so marketable in the field. RHVAC, this is, I always joke with a lot of people, when you think of HVAC technicians, revac technicians, the first thing that comes to somebody's mind is, well, that's who's coming to my house. It's 90 degrees. My air conditioning isn't working, or my heat's out in the middle of winter. Yes, you got residential. Then you move into the commercial side of things. So just think about everywhere you might see heating or refrigeration or air conditioning. Think of your restaurants. Think of your grocery stores. Think of your convenience stores. If you go to a supermarket and the coolers quit working, the freezer stopped working, you need somebody there 10, 15 minutes ago to be working on that. You're losing product. So you're learning all of that commercial side of things. You're getting into transport refrigeration. You learn, you see those tractor trailers, they're transporting food, they're transporting plants, it could be art, an oil painting. In the middle of summers, you need that nice and air conditioning. So you learn that. And then you get to the industrial side. You're getting into more automation. You work on a program that's called a direct digital control. So think of a skyscraper in, a downtown city. All of that is being controlled by a computer program. So you really learn all of that. And again, sometimes people don't associate some of these fields with programming, with automation. Our CAD program, they're learning both architectural and mechanical. So we use a couple different programs. Our students will start off with some board drawing at the beginning, still got to know those basics. Then we use a program called AutoCAD 2D. Then we move into our 3D modeling systems, which is what you're seeing there. We use programs called Revit and Inventor. The difference between a 2D blueprint and a 3D print, I always say it like this: I'm not a drafter myself. Sure, everybody has seen a blueprint. If I'm a client and somebody hands me a blueprint, all I see are lines and numbers. That it doesn't mean anything to me. I have no idea what it's going to look like. Whereas with a 3D print, nobody can build off of a 3D print, but it gives you a visual for what the final product will look like. And then, of course, we just added a few years ago our 3D printing with additive manufacturing, which is really where the technology is going in that field. We have our maintenance electricity program. Similar to our HVAC, you start off in residential, then you get commercial, But the nice feature of this program is that industrial side. They work on what's called a programmable logic controller. And again, things where you would see this in your everyday life that you probably don't really think too much about. You think of traffic lights. If anybody has ever gone to an automated car wash, I live in the western part of Pennsylvania, so I'm a Sheetz gal. I don't know if Wawa has these car washes, but you know, you go to a car wash, you pay, you're told, okay, pull your car up, then you get that X, tells you to stop, then you see, okay, now we're rinsing, soap's coming on, all of that's timers and sensors. That's a PLC. In industry, this is what's going to get you into the manufacturing jobs. So you talk about automation. It's really interesting too, because let's say an electrician is working with a company that has, you know, offices all over the world. Something can be wrong at the office in Portugal, and somebody in Pennsylvania is able to fix it from a computer. So this is very highly sought after in the electrical field. So moving on to financial aid, as I said earlier, I know this is always a really big question. So every school does have their own financial aid advisor. They will do personal appointments with each individual student and their families. So they go over the tuition, the books, fees. So they'll run a budget. There should really be no surprises with what the costs are and what the out-of-pocket costs are. We are Title IV eligible, so they can get their federal grants, their loans, their Pell grants, their PLUS loans. We're a yellow ribbon school. So for any veterans, we do work with them. We do take the GI Bill. We have credit for credit articulation agreements. So for the high school counselors that are on here, if you have any students that are currently going to their local career technical center, we have some arrangements with a lot of those schools for all the various programs where some of what they're already taking in high school could transfer over to us, which means they're credits they don't have to pay, or credits they don't have to take, and then credits they won't have to pay for, which is a really nice savings for those students who have gone through those programs. Also, scholarship opportunities. I certainly can't stress scholarships enough. I always try to encourage interested students to see what's out there. I encourage them to look into any local opportunities. Again, any scholarship, it's money you don't have to pay back, so why not take a couple minutes, fill out an application, write an essay. But there's a lot of scholarships out there, of course, that are specific for the technical field. Imagine America, Mike Rowe, American Welding Society. We do offer our own scholarships as well. So we do offer scholarships for incoming June starts. We let them know it covers 25% of tuition. Our requirement is a student has to have a 2.5 GPA. They'll have to write a brief essay, about 250 words, and then, of course, fill out an application. So it's a fairly simple process, but to basically get tuition, 25% of your tuition covered, why not apply to it? And the last main service that I want to discuss with you guys, and this is, I always emphasize our career advising services. I think they do such a wonderful job. Every school, again, has their own career advising. It's all about getting those jobs. That's everybody's goal. They want to be employed. They want to be making money. So everybody will take a class called Job Communications. This is where they'll get help putting together their cover letters and their resumes. Our career advisors will conduct mock interviews with each student, get them comfortable with that process. But then they're really there coordinating interviews and assisting our students with finding their jobs. So we could have a student, maybe they're in the carpentry program, but they don't like heights. So a roofing job is probably not the best fit for them. Maybe it's somebody coming through the electric program and they're saying, I love that PLCs, I want to be working in that. Maybe there's a certain company a student wants to work for. We could have somebody, maybe they're through the welding program and they're just like, listen, I don't care what I'm doing, but I want to be living at the beach. And our career advisors, they have a lot of contacts with companies. They'll send out resumes. Companies call us up when they're looking for graduates. And the nice thing with this as well, it's a continual service. Graduates can come back to us at any point. It could be a year after they've graduated. It could be 25 years down the road. And if they're ever looking for new employment, they can come back to us, which is such a wonderful feature. We do offer employers who hire our graduates a 90-day guarantee. So we let them know, hey, if in that first 90 days of hiring one of our graduates, if there's an area the skills aren't where they need to be, send them back to us. We'll give them additional training. No cost to that graduate, no cost to the employer. A lot of companies tend to like that. To my knowledge, I don't think anybody has ever been sent back through that. And in order to keep up our accreditation, we do have to maintain a minimum placement rate. For us, it is a 70% placement rate full-time in their field within a year of graduation. So we do have, statistics and requirements that we need to maintain. So with that, I know we're coming into 25 minutes here, and I certainly want to leave some time for questions and answers. But our program, 16 months, again, an associate's in specialized technology degree. Of course, some ways, if you are looking for some additional information, some of our social media pages. And then, of course, a website that you can text us or you can check out. You can text us at GoTech. We have a 1-800 number. Or, of course, you can reach out to me directly at triangle-tech.edu. So with that, Lee, I think we're right at 25 minutes exactly. So I'll turn it back over to you. We can open it up for questions and answers.
Yeah, okay, awesome. Thank you, Ashley. I think we do actually have a couple of questions. This one comes from one of our counselors that wants to know, do you have housing for students that are out of the area or, out of state?
Oh, that's a great question. We don't have official dorms. A lot of our students are commuters, but if somebody they didn't want to drive every day, they're coming from a bigger distance, we do keep apartments for rent nearby. It becomes a little more on their own with what they might feel, comfortable moving into. So we can provide some options, but we don't have any official dorms or on-campus housing.
Okay, and then I have another question that comes from a high school in the Pittsburgh area that wants to know if we want to talk to one of Triangle Tech's local reps, should we go to the Triangle Tech website or should we contact you directly?
If they're looking they can contact me directly. If they're looking to speak to an admissions rep, they can contact me if they have somebody who's interested, and I can put them in touch. Or if they're looking to maybe have somebody come to their school, again, reach out to me and I can make arrangements for that.
Okay, yeah, and then the other thing is, I know you mentioned that you have credit for credit programs or partnerships with high schools. Is there somebody in particular that they could speak to about potentially setting up a high school partnership?
That would be me again.
Okay, awesome. Cool. All right, here comes another question. Okay, so this is a good question. It's very timely. One of our attendees wants to know, how are you handling things with COVID because everything seems to be so hands-on?
Sure, that's an excellent question. So our students have been doing online classes. So, of course, again, with so much of that we do is hands-on. I know there is a plan for them to get back in, to finish up their labs, to finish up their semesters. Of course, all that is dependent on the guidelines, but they have been doing their theory classes and they have been working online, and there is a plan to get them back into the classrooms, into their labs to finish up their hands-on. Okay. Hopefully that answers it.
Yeah, no, I think it does. And I have another question that came in from one of our counselors from the Chambersburg area that wants to know, what are your cost comparisons with community college programs? Maybe both a cost comparison and also maybe program comparison. Can you sort of elaborate on that?
Well, I mean, I don't know what the cost is for the local community college down there, so I certainly can't speculate. If that particular counselor, if they want to reach out to me, I can have a more one-on-one conversation with them as far as costs and things like that. Again, with the programming, again, not being as familiar with the local community college, I'm not familiar with their program, but I always encourage students, look at both. Look at what you're looking for. Look at the length of time. Ours is 16 months. You can be out working a little bit sooner, where some other programs, it might be a little longer. Look at what the curriculum is. Are you taking some of those gen eds? Are you okay with that? Or are you somebody that just kind of wants to jump in on day one and get started? So I always look at both. I'm always going to be partial to what we do, but take a look at both and see just what school felt more comfortable for you.
Something that, struck me from your presentation as well is that I know, from the years of working with Triangle Tech, how much emphasis is put on those certifications that you allow students to be able to take after their program that will make them, more hireable. I'm just not sure if the community colleges offer the same, ability to do that or not. But
yeah. Look at all the certifications. Look at the curriculum. It's you got to look at all the options, and a student really won't be able to
Yeah.
make a decision until they explore,
Yeah, it's a
everything
lot
that's
more
out
than
there.
just cost.
Exactly.
Okay, so I have another question from an
Sure.
attendee that says, is the job placement countrywide? I think I know the answer to that, but I'll let you handle it.
I mean, our career advisors do place all over the country, so I can double check with them, but I know that it's more specific to program, not necessarily the area.
Yeah, and I can actually jump in here too. There's been a couple of Imagine America scholarship recipients that have gone to school in Pittsburgh, but then later ended up working for Siemens in Virginia Beach.
Yeah, Newport News is a really big employer of ours. They're down in North Carolina or Virginia.
Yeah, right. Now that may be, that example is just on the East Coast, but it does cross over a couple of states there. So, I'm sure that you guys can place these qualified technicians pretty much
Yes.
anywhere where they're needed. So, okay.
Those are great questions.
Yeah, great questions. Oh, we got one more.
Sure.
All right. Do you have data on beginning salaries for each major?
I would need to double check what we have. Now, I know if somebody wants to go to our website, triangle-tech.edu, we do have a consumer information disclosure on there. I don't know if there's necessarily starting salaries. All of that is, of course, very dependent on each individual company and what. So again, I'm not trying to evade the question by any means, but I don't know if I can necessarily give like an overall, because even different areas, it's going to be different for the various.
Yeah, right. And Corey, to your other point, depending on whether they're in Pennsylvania or Virginia or in the country, that's obviously going to vary.
Our school out in Bethlehem, cost of living in Bethlehem is a little more expensive than, let's say, if you're in Du Bois or Sunbury. So everything's kind of relative. So I know, unfortunately, I'm sure people want me to say an actual number, but there's a lot of factors that go into that.
Yeah. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics might also be a good place to look.
Yeah, they have more of your national medians, but it gives a good indication, and it kind of gives you a range too nationwide of what the low end to the high end is.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for joining the call. I think, I just want to let everyone know that if we didn't get to any of your questions, feel free to reach out to either myself or Ashley. We will be sending out a recording of this presentation as well as a quick survey just to get your opinion and feedback on how you think this went. And I just want to say before closing, I'd like to thank all of our participants for taking time out of their busy schedules to join us today. And I also want to thank Ashley Kessler for sharing with us today's presentation. And I encourage you to contact her directly with any future questions. So on behalf of the Imagine America Foundation, Ashley and myself, thank you for your time and goodbye.
Thank you, everybody.